Carr Stereo Podcast is on, and I, Terrie Carr, love embracing my local New Jersey roots and being part of State Theater New Jersey's Sound Studio series. It is such a cool, immersive experience, bringing in so many great artists. And what I really appreciated about it the most is that everybody's kind of together. And I think that's what music is all about. And I welcome Mike Messer. You're such a part of this series in a lot of different ways, not only as a performer in Aurora Borealis, which we will talk about, but you were also involved with the theater in kind of bringing some of the acts in. Your name came up when I was talking to the amazingly talented Patrice Pike.
Yeah.
In the last series that we did. So, Mike, welcome, first of all, to the Carr Stereo Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Get involved? Yeah, I'm excited to have you as well, because you are definitely a guy who is part of the musical landscape for sure.
Yeah. What was the question? You said, how did I get involved?
Yeah, how did you get involved with wearing a couple of different hats as opposed to just being a performer?
As far as the series goes, as far
Yeah.
as the theater, yeah. So one of my best friends is Evan Levy, who oversees the theater, and said, we have the series. He just really said, we have the series coming up, and I know you're connected to a lot of people in. Well, there's 3 series actually that I'm being a part of, but the sound series is the main one for the rock bands, and then the classical series. And then there's also the Milk and Cookies series that I'm taking part in. I'm performing in it with my kids' music that I.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Well, they decided at State to kind of bring the rock series in. They were doing the other 2 series first.
Yeah.
Basically because there's really nothing like it. And that area of central New Jersey has such a rich history of artistry, of music, of alternative, of punk, of indie, of rock, of all of that. So when they told me they were doing this, I was like, what a perfect fit. And great to have you as sort of a conduit to all of these different things. So talk to me about your performing and what you're going to be doing as part of your piece of this series as an artist.
Well, mine is, just to sort of tie it back to the first question that you were asking about, when putting together a series that would be cohesive, I was looking for, Always Now was like a very New Jersey, real local, great, like kind of Americana, rock folk vibe, and I've known Steven, who leads that band, forever, and he's one of the most incredible musicians I know. And then Patrice is she's a legend, and I've known her forever, and she came all the way down from Austin. And then my band, Aurora Borealis, which I just saw those 3 as being really cohesive together, as this that would fit that really intimate room, with this like really poetic singer-songwriter intimacy. What I'm bringing to it, what I'm doing, we're doing a Aurora Borealis Live and in 2 Persons is the name of the show. So the songs, Aurora Borealis is like a catch-all for nom de plume for everything that I'm doing, and the recordings are these really expansive. They get really huge with choirs and just giant bands and like all of this atmospheric, extra stuff. But the songs live best, and I thought that was what was unique and special about Patrice and Always Now as well. That fit into those these 3 acts. The songs fit really best when it's really kind of one-on-one, when it's intimate, like that room really can take. And so I'm doing I put out a record called Live and in 2 Persons that was recorded a couple of years ago at the Rockwood Music Hall before they said goodbye forever. And it was me and my friend Tom McCaffrey, who's this extraordinary guitar player. The guy can, like, I say about him, he can just paint endlessly on the instrument. He's really something special. So the 2 of us together, it's the acoustic guitar and my acoustic guitar and his electric guitar, my vocals and his backup vocals. And so the songs can be in this really intimate, conversational really fun, you know, vibe that that has a lot of color, but stays in this um, this one-on-one. The room fits about 90 people, so it's a small, like I said, conversational kind of way of presenting all of the stuff. As if we could just like bring a guitar out here and just play for you, and then and have conversation and interrupt in the middle. Be like, hey, what was that, bro? Yeah, that part was this, and
Well,
you
I
know,
think too, the people that are part of this, I mean, you mentioned Patrice being a
Mhm.
legend. The talent level is so crazy. And the guitar players that you've had as
Yeah,
part of this series in all, three are really amazing and incredible, phenomenal players. And I think that people that get to experience this so up close and personal, which is great, and they leave the concessions stay open and
hmm
people can hang out and have a cocktail and they feel very brave and they can come up to you and talk about music or the first time they noodled on guitar and songwriting and
yeah,
maybe when they saw you X amount of years ago or so there's just this cool vibe, I think, and the talent level is off the charts. And that's what I want people to know too. And I'm hoping that they continue the series as well, because the artistry that you're going to see is so incredibly impressive. The
totally.
songwriting, the playing, and the ability to connect the material with the crowd.
Yeah, we wanted to get like, I had that. I had some conversations at the last show, at Patrice's show. I got to talk with some of the people in the crowd, and it was funny because some of them had seen me play with Patrice some years ago, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm coming back to see you. I can't believe you're here. This is so glad."
How
Because she
cool
called me
is
out to.
that?
It's so cool, and
Yeah.
and it really was like I'm the one. This life as a musician, like one of the things I'm so proud about is like you get to know these people that are the most extraordinary players, the most extraordinary talents, and to be able to bring them to when I was asked to book this series, I was like, I got you.
You
I'm
always
gonna
felt like that. You didn't have any like pressure or
no.
trepidation, or like you just felt that this was going to be so in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, the one thing that I can brag about without any shame is that I know the best people in the world. I know the deepest songwriters, the best players. I've been so lucky to have my own artistry get raised by my association with these people. That these are the people that I play with. That I know that when we show up to do something, we're gonna bring everyone's going home happy. It's just like it, I'm so confident in what I was able to bring what they brought. All I did was ask them to do it. I don't want to take credit for how
I
incredible they are,
love that you
but
just said that though, because you didn't say like, I know how to book this and I know it's going to work. And you gave it all back to the artist and you said, I know the best people.
yeah,
And damn, that's
yeah,
I think that's what it's all about. And it's been such a cool like mix of music, not with the series, but I mean with what people are doing. Like, Adora Borealis is kind of like progressive indie folk rock is how it's been described. And it's just like,
yeah.
wait, what? Progressive indie folk rock.
Prog
Like
folk.
that's
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah,
And I got the same thing with Always Now. They were like we were going back and forth on some of our favorite prog bands when we did our Zooms and like who's your favorite power trio and who's your favorite prog band. So I think it's so interesting mixing, and I think that that's exactly what that area of New Jersey too has been about, that melding of sounds and that mixing of musicians. So the fit is just perfect.
yeah. We all like New Jersey. Like we all grew up on we were sort of handed all this classic rock, this album rock through the radio that we would always get to listen to, like all like in the like look at like right behind you, what's like there's Bowie and Metallica and a bunch of like we had such a rich mix of exposure to this incredible stuff, and like and I think that like like I always think that like I just speak for myself. Like when I'm bringing out the music that I'm doing, it's really what it is. It's like a travel log of everything that I've experienced so far in terms of influences. From there's this part of Zappa, this part of Steve Vai, this part of uh, uh, Jeff Buckley, these elements
Wow.
of things that I wouldn't ever claim to sound like any of those people because they're just all of them are gods, but the um, but their DNA is absolutely running through all the stuff that I do. When I would be producing some songs, and I would start talking about like the Avett Brothers, is my favorite songwriters living today. And when somebody would go, "Oh yeah, 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 I can hear that DNA in this," that was enough to like feed me for 3 weeks. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I always felt too, you know, there's a bit of being the scrappy underdog, so I felt like that whole scene in Jersey, there was always a scrappy underdogness to it.
Yeah.
And I think that that flows through your veins as well.
Totally. And if you play in New Jersey, like I live in New York City, and it's a wild place to be a musician because there's amazing people, But when you tour around a bit, I've gotten because I'm so close, and I grew up in Rockland County, so I was right on the edge. If you go play a show in New Jersey, you make you make a fan for life. Like people are on the Jersey crowds. I've always found were they show up and they're and their association with you never ends at the end of the concert. Like they become your fans. They become you correspond with them. I've gotten to know people that played shows at 10 years ago, and I'm still in touch with them. They end up on a mailing list, but it's not just like a mailing list of like, here's a new thing, here's whatever. Like we're actually actively connected on social media, to these people. Like, and that's matters more than anything. I think is building community
Oh,
through
yeah. Oh,
through this kind
yeah.
of stuff. And Jersey's like the ultimate spot for that to happen. Like if
Passionate,
you know,
opinionated, and
yep,
we can sniff out if you're not authentic.
yeah,
We have a great sniffing barometer, like a bomb sniffing dog,
right,
if
yeah,
you're not authentic. And that's what I've always loved. And, it's so funny because we really are the hub of so much. People go, oh, Jersey, Bon Jovi, Springsteen. No, I mean, you look at, Whitney and Frank and
hmm,
Smithereens and Debbie Harry was from here. And like, we
uh-huh,
just are, we have such a palette. We had a
yeah,
metal scene that was like no other, up and down the Route 35 corridor with all of our metal artists growing up. And yeah, there's just a real beautiful flavor. And I
totally.
think that that's why a series like this can really, really work. And I also love people bringing their kids out and their teen kids and everything out to a series like this because you can meet the artists and you can really feel inspired. And it's not having to buy, like a giant VIP package at a concert where you can't afford it and you can't afford to take the family out to it.
Right. No, the whole thing is like just at Patricia's show just now there was this well, we didn't get to speak to them. They left, but there was this little girl with her dad that was sitting. They were singing all the lyrics. They were
Oh,
amazing, and the whole thing is like, yeah, that we have this hang. It's not even a meet and greet. It's a hang time afterwards that's specifically set for all the shows in the series. That like, please come. You come to the Aurora Borealis show, please hang out. We'll get like a half an hour just to get to know each other. I was gonna throw you one more. Like you mentioned Frank in Hoboken. So the musical Hair is a big part of my life. I knew those people well. That's Hoboken, New Jersey. Jim Rado and Jerry Rogney.
there are vignettes of history wherever you go in the state
Yeah.
of New Jersey. And it's in our DNA, not just as rock fans, but as music fans,
Hmm.
just as music fans. Yeah, I mean, I think back even to the 90s and how many people that we had from Jersey and and we didn't even I was playing Tonic on the radio and then going, "Yeah, he's from Central New Jersey." I mean, like we just that's just who we are and that's why we love music so much. So,
Yeah.
what is the Adora Borealis set going to be like? Talk to me a little bit about the music that you guys are going to be doing for people that want to buy tickets. By the way, stnj.org to buy your tickets. So grab some
Thank you.
tickets for this.
Yeah, and also there's student. I think there's half off student tickets
Oh, fabulous.
for the show, and there's group rates as well. The music's going to be it's funny whenever I start talking about the music, I'm like, yeah, it's a guitar and another guitar and this thing, but it's this really lyrical, very soulful, um, uh, acoustic guitar that's played kind of like a drum. Like that's like I'm playing, like the way I look at it, like I'm playing the bass, the drum, and the harmonic elements, and then we have this Tom, my partner in this, is like is painting these incredible sonic palettes on top of it. When I'm with him, I can sing any, like he's just, the live in two persons thing. It was it was like the joke was like live and in person. We're like live and in
Two
two
persons,
persons.
right?
Um, the sound of it, which you can find, there's a record called Live and in Two Persons that we put out. Like that's a pretty good representation of it. We're going to be expanding the set list from that, but the songs are all of these songs about, like, lyrically, they're all these very vivid wordplay songs that are all about love and healing, forgiveness. A lot of them are coming from a divorce record, but it's the very specific type of divorce record was like, I want your life to be as wonderful as it could be post this experience. It was all a thing about healing, forgiveness, love, enduring love, processing pain through love. That's like the whole idea of Aurora Borealis lyrically. Musically, what it's really about is like this relationship between the two of us that you'll see just the weaving in and out of my guitar playing and his guitar playing, and the way that these over some like pretty prog chord structures
Pretty cool.
and end up coming together. I hope I'm describing it well. It's hard to take an abstract idea and put it into words, but it's what I really think of it as, like these very lush sonic paintings that are all improvisational. Not all, but like mostly improvisational. We'll ebb and flow a lot between each other. We always say to each other before we play a show, but Tom and I, we're like, whatever happens, I'll find you, you find me, we'll catch each other, we'll figure
But
it out.
that's what I
And
just mentioned
yeah,
when I said about the authenticity. And
yeah,
I said that we can smell out if you're not authentic. That's what people love about something like this, is the unpredictability, the authenticity, and taking them on a journey that you may not have realized at the beginning you were going to
yeah.
end up taking them on. And I think that that's the really, really cool part. And I think that that's what has made you a very unique artist. I have followed you for a while. You can check out a lot of what Mike does at mikemessermusic.com. And I've watched a lot of your videos that you've done from your studio that you work
Uh-huh.
in. I asked you because your cat was lobbing around a little while ago, and I said, "Is that Lenny?" Because you have a
Yeah,
studio that's kind of named for your cat, and you're like,
yeah,
"No, Lenny has since passed away. This is my new rescue cat." But
yeah.
yes, you have this like
Lenny was a
electric Lenny
legend.
Land
Yeah,
studio, and
Electric
I
Lenny
love
Land. Yeah,
that. Yeah, he
yeah,
inspired you, and my animals have always inspired me.
yeah. I know
So,
that from following you.
and where is your studio? Your studio's uptown?
Harlem,
Yeah, in
Harlem.
Harlem.
Yeah,
Yep.
on 114th Street. Yeah,
Fabulous. Oh,
yeah.
what is the vibe that you get when you are there creating?
It's set up. It's set up with the lights are bright right now, but it's really set up to be a meditative uh, escape from the rest of what we were just talking about, like our respective studios, and like, oh, we can get here to get away. When I shut the door, so I built this place, and it was when I moved in here, it was like one long wall at one long hallway, and I just had to teach myself how sound actually works because I was going to build the studio. So I built all these. I made these mid frequency absorption panels. I figured, like, I looked it up. I figured I'd do it. I talked to other studio owners. I designed the wall. I didn't want to work with fiberglass because
Yeah, I
the
love
piano.
those because I've worked
Yeah.
in radio studios forever, and I love the absorption with those. That's great.
Yeah, they're all made of cotton, so it was an
Beautiful.
easier thing to breathe, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't hurt the
Yep.
cats or anything. And so when I come in here, when I shut the door, first the sound just goes, whoosh, and it's quiet, and it's a perfect place to create in. So, like, I know for myself, like, I can't do if I have to stop my creative flow. I talk to people about this, about creative flow all the time. If for me, if I have to stop my creative flow to go set something up, the impetus is lost. So right now, everything in this place is ready to uh, is ready to go. The piano is over here. Like, if I turn on Logic, I just click Logic on. Everything I play in the piano will be recorded. Everything I sing is going to get recorded. Everything I play in guitar goes right to the preamp, and it goes right in. So there's no space between, like, the inspiration and execution. Like, it all gets there, and then I can tinker with it and figure out what's that I give to myself, because living in New York, living like we were talking about, whatever's clever, and how everything is like, there's wearing so many hats all the time. That needs that level of hustle, booking gigs and keeping yourself in shape, creatively, and all of that focus takes a real toll on you. So, being as lucky as I am to have access to a space like this, that just gives, that's very zen. I can, I was gonna say, I can change the lighting so it's just this, like, whatever, I've got, like, all the variant colors
It's
on the
your
lamp, so it can
musical
just be
womb. You're in the
right.
musical womb. You're
Yeah.
at your most comfortable. Yeah.
You want to expand. I tried to make something that would expand the way that I feel in my heart out to the rest of the room, so that I could just be in, like the musical womb, and give birth to whatever ideas I could have. And and the only other people that really join me in here are the cats. So,
That's
but
the way it should be.
yeah,
That's
and I
the
get a
way
lot of
that's the
stuff
way it
done
should
that
be.
way. But
Yeah.
it took a lot of, front loading, preparation to create a space that would then be like an automatic, creation facility.
Yeah. Yeah. The
You know,
execution is not far from the vision. And I think that
yeah,
that's where
yeah,
the art part comes in. And you talked, and we spoke a little pre-Zoom, and we talked about, because I said, God, and in this musical landscape and professional landscape, all we do is pivot. And
hmm
you kind of mentioned that as well, pivoting from gig and idea and being a visionary for this and figuring out how to get that done, and the amount of work and everything that it takes. You're a great pivoter because you have a lot of irons in the fire. You've never taken away from who you are as an artist and what you do. I love all of the work that you've done also with your kid imprints and working
uh-huh.
with kids music, which
Yeah,
is that's a big business now. That HBO special,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, which was
My
part of the Music Box series. It's
Yeah,
called Happy. And I didn't even know that it had a name. Is it called Kindie? Because
Kindie, yeah,
that's
independent kids
crazy.
music.
It's
Yeah,
like independent kids music. So how did you get into that
years ago, years
years
ago.
ago? So were
What
you sort of a kind of one of the founders of this?
I don't know if I was the founder of it, but I was an early. So my band, the band that I was in, it was a group of my friends, who were all after school teachers, and they were writing these weird plays with the kids, and we were providing music for it. So we would just hang out all night long and write and be like, what were they talking about? Let's write a song about that. And it was so low pressure in terms of what we were doing, because we just wanted to have fun. And we liked the music enough that we were like, what we should do? We should put this. We really, what would be really funny if we made a concert. We put this band together. We did a concert for kids, and we
And
had
no
no
one was
idea.
doing it at the time, right?
Well, there
It
was
wasn't that
people.
common.
It wasn't that common. It wasn't as common as it is now. But there was stuff going on, but none of us had kids, so we didn't know about it. We were just like, we stumbled backwards into this thing. And this is a funny story that I always tell about this, is that the Daily News, a friend of ours was a publicist, and the Daily News and New York Magazine were doing stories on Kindie music. We didn't know what it was. We didn't have kids. We were, like I said, we'd like literally just stumbled backwards into this thing. And I was at the time I was a photographer, so I was taking photos. It was just a thing, that another creative thing that I was like figured out how to make money at. I was taking like event photography and doing people's headshots and stuff, because I just sort of was like, I could figure this out, and then I could figure out how to make some money at it. So I set up our photos, and we were a really colorful big band, but we hadn't done anything. We played one show. We hadn't done anything, but I knew how to take really great pictures. And so we had these great pictures. So our pictures were more colorful and more exciting than like we were in a spread with They Might Be Giants, the Dixie Chicks, and I forget who the other band was, but somebody else that was huge. And our picture was just more it's just more than,
Wow.
So we were the big shot, and then it was like us who hadn't done anything at all, and then the Dixie Chicks, who's one of my favorite bands in the world, like was over here, and then They Might Be Giants, who was another incredible influence, and I love those guys, was over here, and we were like, oh. So then from there, and the same thing, and I think it was either the Post or the Daily News. It was another huge spread of like the full band, like with this great photo, and all these other amazing bands that are like major influences in all kinds of ways were, sort of on the sidelines. So we seemed like we were this huge thing, and from there, because we seemed like we were such a good big thing, we got picked up by a manager, by Nickelodeon, and it just sort of all shot off. We were, the next thing we knew, we were sitting in the Gibson showroom, and they were like, here, take this Les Paul, like we're going to provide you with this. And we made these music videos, and we just had a really fun ride. And when that band kind of more or less, and we still play a couple of shows a year. We're doing some stuff at the Levitt Pavilion in Connecticut. We're doing a few other things. But that really had its rise and its finale for the most part. But then I kept doing it because the playing music for little kids is this really special experience. And I'm taking part in the Milk and Cookies series.
Yeah, their connection is crazy. I was like you. I had no idea. And then I was at, I think it was the New Jersey Festival of Ballooning or whatever, and Laurie Berkner was playing there. And I'm like, where are all these people going? George Thorogood isn't going on until tonight. Like, who are all these? And I could not believe the crowd and everyone singing the music. And I'm like, I don't have kids either. So I'm like, where have I been? What did I miss? And all of a sudden everybody's like, this is huge. This is a whole Kindie. And I'm like, where the F have I been?
Right. Isn't it incredible? Like, so Laurie's a really good friend of mine. Like, we've become friends through a number of means, but isn't it incredible that I think about this as like an artist in this world where, you're always trying to like find your people, you're always trying to find your people. You're always trying to find your community. And all of my favorite bands, I'm sure it's exactly the same with you. All my favorite bands, you show up to, like we're talking about the Avett Brothers a little bit. You show up and you're like, I didn't realize how massive this family fans are. You go there and you go to the show and you go there to be with your community that you didn't even know you had. So you can have these communities. You can witness these communities. Put it that way, maybe. You can witness these communities that you didn't even know existed, that are bigger than any band you thought was around. And what it makes me think, because something like that can be so huge and you cannot be aware of it. You think you think that you're getting hit with whatever's on the radio or whatever you hear, whatever you're being pushed, at. You think that that's what it is, but there's so many communities and there's so many communities built around artists or bands, that it makes me think that there's room for everybody. You're just looking for your community. You're not looking to conquer something or the other. You're just looking for the people that you're resonating with. You're looking for the people that, to put it poetically, like your guitar strums like resonate inside their hearts and like back to you, and that's really all that matters, because you can put out something, you can love something. I've given things that I've loved more than anything, like Frank Zappa music. I've given it to people and been like, look at this, it's genius, and they go, this is the ugliest thing I've ever heard, and I'm like, I can't understand it, but they love their thing that you might not have even ever heard of, and it's bigger than you can imagine. And so it's just, I think it's a really positive thought that there's room for everybody. There's community that's waiting for you to discover and for you to be discovered as a member of that community, whether it's like they're following you or you're just part of that community as it is. Yeah, that's a sort of a long-winded way of
I think we need
idea.
that now more than ever.
Yeah.
We need it now more than ever, with everybody talking about AI and
Oh my God.
craziness of the world and just everything going on around us, where you feel like, I need that connection. I have to have that connection. We can't, even more than I need it, we can't lose that connection. That's
Right.
the most important thing for me, is
You brought
we just can't lose that.
total 100%. Like you just brought up AI, and we Rick Beato,
I
the
love
music
Rick Beato,
podcaster,
and I'm
not
always
podcaster,
watching
YouTuber.
his videos,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he's so inspiring to me.
yeah. I love Rick. I love his stuff. I've loved it for so long, and
Me too.
he made a point. He was like, "Well, look, we're in this place of AI right now," and he goes, "And it kind of makes sense because we've tried to make ourselves sound like computers for so long. So why wouldn't AI be able to come along and just adopt that when we've been trying to take away our humanity and sound like perfection for so long?" There's a mastering engineer named Mike Fossenkemper that we worked with for a long time, who's great, and he said, as human beings, we strive for perfection, but we gravitate towards humanity. And so in that, like, so for my birthday just passed, and I wanted to do, and I released my first Aurora Borealis cover, and of a Tom Waits song called "Old 55," and I love this. I love the song, and I
So
thought,
good.
let me make this as, sort of in line with what we're talking about what's going to happen at the State Theater, and the intimacy and the immediacy and like the reality of what that is, and being able to connect with people. I said, I'm going to do it in here. I used this mic actually for the vocals, and an AKG 414 for the guitar, and I thought, I'm going to record this with no studio trickery. I want to record this. I want this to be as coming through the speakers. I want you to feel like I'm right with you, and I'm not lying about anything. I'm not going to tune anything. I'm not going to, I edited 3 live takes together, like the way that, but all the best ones, Hallelujah, but Jeff Buckley is 2 takes put together. Like, and I just put it up, and I was like, I want to get rid of all fear of not being, I play live all the time, but like I want to take all the red light syndrome, the red light syndrome when it's like the record light goes on and you're like, oh my God, this is forever. I was like, I want none of that to be in the way. I just nothing to be in the way of this sound coming from the speakers to the listener. So I did a straight take with no click, just the guitar with a microphone on the guitar, a microphone on the voice. Did a straight take, and it's one of my favorite things that I ever put out. And I feel it's like the anti-AI. Like,
Love it. I love
there's
it.
like it drifts in tempo. The way that it's meant to. It falls like it breathes in that kind of way. And to try to bring it's so tempting to use every trick in the book when you're in the studio, because it's so unbelievably fun to do it, and it's great and it's awesome, and there's a lot of value in that, depending on the type of music it is. But and I have a lot of that in my catalog of the Aurora Borealis stuff. Like a song like "Moving On" is uses a lot of vocoder, and a lot of the drums were played really interestingly. We like played them live, but sampled them, and then built the drum track off of a drum set that was mic'd the way that a regular kit would be played. But I'm not a drummer, and neither is Tom, who we were with. We were like, let's try it. Let's do a take. And we found like sections that we would like, and we built that track that way. And then this was like a counterpoint to that, to be as open and honest, like we're talking about the Jersey honesty, and as honest as possible. And that's the last track that just came out. Was that I just talked so long I forgot how I got on the subject.
Well, no, we literally were just talking about the series, and you were talking and
Right.
AI and how
Yeah.
everything kind of just comes together. Well, I mean, look, nothing can replace feel. And
Yeah.
I think what you just described to me is, perfection versus feel. And to me, I think feel wins every time. I think about a feel, and I remember being at a taping where Stone Temple Pilots were doing a Storytellers.
Uh-huh.
And they did the song Atlanta, which is an amazing song from Number 4. And Scott Weiland was just so into it. And it was a studio audience. I was there. And I remember them saying to Scott, let's do another take. We should do another take. And he said, I don't have another take in me. That was the take. That was the take that I felt. And everybody was looking around at these studios that we were all in, and he didn't want to do another take. He didn't care if it was perfect. He cared about what he felt.
Yeah.
And I felt it too, because I remember thinking, another take? Are you people insane? And that's what it's about. It's about the feel. And
Yeah.
I think you've kind of spoken well on both ends
Yeah.
about crafting music.
I think that's a thanks. That's what it is. Playing music. I feel so lucky that I get to do this. I always say, like, I get to pay for cat food this way. You know, to engage in this, what's really a spiritual practice of listening. You be a player. You can't play music if you're not listening. That's like the first and I teach a class to little kids in this as well. We have a music jam, and
I
it's
love
all
that.
about really trying to get the kids to pay attention to each other. That's really all it is, because music is really just a conduit to connection. It has so many other elements to it, but when you're playing music, if you're focusing on yourself and not focusing on what's flowing in the room, the music and the connection to the other people, I always say you have to listen. If there's a mathematical equation, you have to listen 3 times more than you contribute. And in doing that, you'll end up in these places where you start to feel like you levitate, because you're so connected to what everyone else is doing. And then you'll even like hear out of the back of your ear, you'll go, oh, that's amazing what that person is doing. Oh my God, the bass is doing, that's so cool. Oh, and the drums are doing, that's so cool. Oh, and that part over there, that's really cool. Oh my God, that's what I'm doing. You separate yourself so much that you really become something ephemeral inside of it. And the idea that's more than anything about music, that part of it, that connection to people and to the people in the crowd, it's such a humbling thing that we all bow to, that we say we go to as people go to church, they go to, people need to gather to focus on something. I guess that's what worship is. Like, you focus on something that is outside of yourself, and there's however many people in a house of worship maybe that are all focusing on something outside of themselves. And so you get triggered with music, and you're all focusing on this pulse. Everyone's just focusing on that, and it brings us all out of ourselves. And in focusing on that thing together, it brings us closer to all the people that we're around. So the idea of getting to do this, being like, oh, I got to go to work, like, to go to go commune with people is like it's an honor that I can't even believe I get to do.
I mean, I don't think we can leave it on any other note but that.
Oh,
Oh, and I don't even think I mentioned the day
oh
because
my God!
we
Please
just
let's
kind of got into it.
God.
Thursday, May 28th. So
Yep,
there is
7:30 show.
plenty of time. It's a 7:30 show, which is
Mhm.
great. Nice early show. You get in and there's hang time afterwards. And if you have not been to State Theater, and I've said it to every artist that I've spoken to that's playing State Theater,
Mhm.
whether they're part of this series or 38 Special or Kenny Wayne Shepherd or whoever I've spoken to that's going to be at the State, there's a real beautiful, magical vibe at the State Theater anyway. They're such a big part of the community. The theater is so beautiful, and there's just something very special about it that I love. stnj.org to grab your tickets, by the way. And Mike Messer, it's been so
Thank
nice to be
you.
able to pick your brain, do a little deep dive music
Oh,
conversation.
it was
So
such a
much
great chat with
fun.
you. This was such a great way to start a Tuesday.
So
Uh,
fun. You've got to
Thank
come
you.
back on. Will you come back on
Oh,
the Car
please! I
Stereo
would. Oh
podcast?
my
Keep
God!
me posted
Anytime.
on everything that you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. Please. Can I plug the Aurora Borealis? Like,
Plug
what?
away, my friend. You take
So
it away. It's all yours.
Aurora Borealis is a funny word. It's one word. I don't blame anybody for misspelling it because I misspelled it when I first came up with it. Just like the Aurora Borealis, but put it in one word. So it's Adoraborealis. Aurora Borealis. Love and light is what it represents. And you can if you search that on. If you cross search that on YouTube, Mike Messer Music, Aurora Borealis, you'll find all the videos. If you streaming services, whatever you're looking for, Bandcamp, whatever you like to listen to music, please check it out. There's a ton of cool stuff up there, and you'll hear the song about Lenny. You'll hear the song about moving on, and like hopefully there'll be some resonance in your own lives to what you
YouTube
hear.
channel, subscribe. You can check out
Yeah.
all the videos. Really
Yeah.
easy to find. And Aurora Borealis, of course, and Mike, part of the State Theater Sound Studio series.
Yeah, I'll see you
Thursday,
on the
May 28th. stnj.org to grab your tickets, and we will see you there. Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was so great to talk with you. I hope I do get to come back again.